Ever catch yourself wondering how some people just seem to hit every goal they set their mind to, while others, even with like tons of potential, just don't? Like, is it all about just being naturally talented? Well, get ready to explore the world of grit, because today we're diving into the work of Angela Duckworth, and let me tell you, it turns out talent might not be the whole story after all.
It's true.
We're taking a deep dive into one of her TED Talks. Duckworth breaks down her journey and her research on grit.
You know what's really cool about Duckworth? Her research, it's not just some like academic thing. It's deeply personal, you know?
Yeah.
This all kind of came from her own career path.
Okay, so get this. You're in this super high pressure consulting job, making bank, probably rocking some fancy suits. It's just not fulfilling. You know what I mean?
Then there.
That's where Duckworth was. And then she does what, honestly, I think a lot of us dream of doing. She makes this wild career change to go teach seventh grade math in New York City public school.
Whoa. Talk about a change of pace.
Yeah.
But that leap, that's important. That willingness to just step outside her comfort zone, it's a sign of things to come. This wasn't just a career change. It was about searching for something deeper, trying to understand what makes people successful.
Which isn't always just about being smart, right?
Yeah, exactly. And let's be real, seventh grade math, that's a tough one. You're not just memorizing times tables anymore. You're wrestling with some pretty abstract stuff.
True. And Duckworth noticed something really interesting happening in those classrooms.
Yeah, she saw these students, some with like genius-level IQs, really struggle when things got tough. They weren't always the ones who thrived. And then there were these other students, maybe they weren't considered gifted in the traditional sense, but they had this tenacity, this willingness to stick with it no matter what. And they were the ones who ended up mastering those really hard concepts.
It's almost like they wanted it more.
In a way.
Yeah.
That's where the seed for all her research was planted. That's when Duckworth realized that those standard measures of intelligence, they weren't telling the whole story. There was something else going on, something more than just raw brain power.
Right. Okay, so we've got this really intriguing observation about effort and success playing out in the classroom. So how does Duckworth go from there to, studying West Point cadets and spelling bee champs?
So she gets her degree in psychology and dives deep into this whole question of achievement, like who's actually successful and why. But, and this is important, she didn't just want to study one type of person, one profession or background. Duckworth, she wanted to understand success across all these different domains.
Well, across the board.
Exactly. So that's where the spelling bee comes in.
Yeah, you've got these kids who are like walking dictionaries,
Yeah.
right? Memorizing these insane words that most of us have never even heard of. Duckworth wanted to know what set them apart, what made them so good at something so specific.
Right.
And then there's West Point. Talk about high pressure, the pinnacle of military discipline and training. And she's trying to figure out how to predict which cadets would make it through this incredibly demanding program. We're talking about grit, right?
Big time. Right. But she doesn't even stop there. She looks at rookie teachers in some of the, honestly, toughest school districts in the country, the ones with insanely high burnout rates.
Wow. Burnout is real.
It is. And she even studies salespeople, a profession known for its, relentless pressure, lots of rejection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she's looking at all these different groups of people.
But he's looking for what exactly?
She's looking for that common thread, that universal indicator of success. That goes beyond just your job, your skills, whatever.
Okay, so what's the verdict? What does she find hidden within this treasure trove of data? It wasn't like social skills or good looks or even drumroll.iq.
So it was something she called grit.
Grit.
And this is where we really got to listen up, because this definition is everything. Duckworth describes grit as passion and perseverance for very long-term goals.
Not just like a burst of being really gung-ho for a couple weeks, but that fire in your belly year after year.
Yes, exactly. It's about sticking with something, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when you just want to quit. It's about keeping that passion, that drive, for years on the path towards something that you deeply, truly care about.
Okay, so we have a name for this elusive quality grit. But how does it show up in the real world? I mean, what does grit actually look like in action?
Well, to really see how grit worked in a challenging environment, Duckworth decided to go back to where her journey began, the classroom. But this time, high school.
Okay, back to school. But yeah, high school, the stakes are definitely higher. We're talking about graduating, which is a huge milestone. So what did Duckworth find?
She followed thousands of high school juniors, had them take these grit questionnaires, and then waited a year to see who actually graduated.
Don't leave me hanging.
The results, amazing. The kids with more grit, the ones who scored higher on those questionnaires, way more likely to have graduated. And get this, this was even after they took out things like family income, their test scores, even how safe they felt at school. We're talking about a real predictor of success, even for kids facing some serious challenges.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's like Duckworth was saying, look, privilege, being naturally smart, that stuff definitely matters, but those aren't the only ingredients in the success recipe, right? Grit can change the game.
100%. And you remember those rookie teachers we talked about? The ones who stuck it out in those really, really tough schools and made a difference for those kids? They were the ones with more grit. It's amazing.
It really is. Okay, so we see that grit can really predict success, even against the odds. But this is where things get really interesting. Duckworth discovers something kind of shocking about how talent and grit work together. Or, actually, how they don't always work together.
It's true. And it kind of challenges everything we think we know, right?
Yeah.
Get ready, because this is my favorite part. So Duckworth found that talent and grit, they weren't always connected. In fact, sometimes, get this, they were even like inversely related.
Wait, really? So you could be super talented, but not very gritty. How does that even work?
No, it's kind of mind-blowing, right? Like, we always think about these naturally gifted people just, coasting through life, achieving all these amazing things. But Duckworth's research, it suggests that's not always how it goes.
So are you saying that some people, they lean on their natural talent so much that they never really build that grit muscle, that ability to push through when things get tough?
That's exactly what it seems like.
Wow, that's wild.
It really makes you wonder if there's like a hidden cost to being naturally gifted.
Yeah.
Like maybe those early successes, they actually prevent some people from developing the grit they need to overcome challenges later on.
It's like you're cruising on autopilot, everything's smooth sailing, but then you hit some serious turbulence and suddenly you don't know how to fly the plane. That's when you need grit.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And that brings up another big question.
Yeah.
If grit is so important, can you actually learn it? Like, can we teach it to kids? Can we develop it in ourselves?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we could bottle grit and share it with the world, I mean, just imagine the possibilities. So what did Duckworth find? Is there some magic formula for cultivating grit?
If there is, she's keeping it a secret for now. This is where the research is still ongoing, which makes it even more intriguing, right?
Okay, no magic formula. But I'm hoping Duckworth gave us something. Like, did her research offer any hints, any strategies for, boosting our grit levels?
She did. And one of the most promising avenues she talks about is this idea of a growth mindset, which was developed by another psychologist, Carol Dweck.
Growth mindset. Oh, yeah, I've definitely had that term floating around. But to be honest, I could use a little refresher. What does it actually mean to have a growth mindset?
So imagine for a second that you believe intelligence isn't fixed, that it's not something you're just, like, born with and stuck with, but that instead you see it as something that can grow and develop through effort, through learning, through dedication. That's the heart of a growth mindset.
I love that. It's like that old saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yes, exactly. And Dweck's research, it's incredible. She found that when they taught students about how their brains could actually change and grow literally change in response to challenges, those students were way more likely to persevere when they hit a roadblock. They didn't give up as easily.
So instead of thinking, ugh, I'm just bad at math, they start thinking, okay, maybe math doesn't come naturally to me yet, but I can get better if I keep practicing.
Exactly. It's a total game changer.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that ties into grit in a powerful way, doesn't it? If you truly believe that you can improve, you're way more likely to put in the effort to stick with it, even when it's hard. It's not about some inherent talent anymore. It's about embracing the whole journey of learning and growing.
You said it. It's about fostering that resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks and keep moving towards your goals.
It's about shifting from I can't to I can't yet, but I'm willing to try.
Yes. And that, my friend, is incredibly empowering.
Okay, I'm sold. Growth mindset, definitely adding that to my to-learn list. But let's bring it back to grit for a sec. We think about grit as a muscle. Are there other ways to strengthen it besides, adopting a growth mindset?
Well, think about how you build any muscle. It takes consistent effort,
Yeah.
right? And usually some targeted training. Grit is the same way.
So it's not enough to just think the right thoughts. You got to walk the walk. You got to put in the work consistently, even when it's the last thing you want to do.
You got it. And this is where Duckworth's research gets super practical. One of the most effective things she talks about is the importance of deliberate practice.
Deliberate practice. Okay, I like the sound of that. Break it down for me. What does deliberate practice actually look like?
So it's not just about, putting in the hours. It's about making those hours really count. It's about identifying those areas where you're weak and working on them specifically, even if it's not fun, even if it doesn't feel glamorous.
So it's about pushing past your comfort zone,
hmm
pushing past those I'm good enough plateaus, and really truly honing your craft.
Yes, 100%. And here's the thing about deliberate practice. It requires real honesty with yourself, self-awareness,
Hmm.
and a willingness to embrace the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable.
It's like being your own toughest critic, but also your own biggest cheerleader.
Exactly. You got to be able to look at your own performance honestly, see where you can improve, and then be willing to put in the work, even when it's hard. And that's where passion comes in.
Ah, passion. That magical ingredient that makes even the toughest, most tedious tasks feel kind of worth it. Tell me more about this connection between passion and grit.
Okay, so think about it this way. When you are truly passionate about something, you are way more likely to stick with it, even when the going gets tough. You're willing to put in those long hours to push through those moments of self-doubt, those setbacks, because it feels meaningful to you. It feels important.
It's like this internal drive that pushes you forward, even when all external motivation has like completely vanished.
Yes. It's the fuel that keeps that grit engine running. It's what makes those long hours, those tough challenges, feel worthwhile.
It makes you wonder how many amazing dreams have been left unrealized just because people haven't tapped into that deep well of passion. Like maybe they haven't found that thing that truly lights them up.
It's a thought, isn't it? But on the flip side, it also highlights this incredible power we all have.
Mhm.
We can choose to cultivate our grit, to nurture our passions, and to really embrace the challenges that inevitably come with chasing our dreams.
It's about shifting from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset, from focusing on inherent talent to believing in the power of effort and perseverance. It's about remembering that life is a marathon, not a sprint, and honestly, the journey. It's just as important as the destination.
Perfectly said.
But, thinking about this whole grit thing, it makes me wonder, is there ever a time when too much grit can actually be a bad thing?
No, that is an excellent question, and it's true. Grit, while it's super important, isn't always the answer. There are absolutely times when it's smarter to pivot, to change direction, or even, and this can be hard, to let go of a goal that's no longer serving you.
So it's about finding that balance between unwavering perseverance and knowing when to course correct.
Exactly. It's about being really honest with yourself
Yeah.
about your goals, your progress, and just your overall well-being.
Mhm.
Sometimes the grittiest thing you can do is to step back, reassess, and make a change.
I like that. It's like we're adding this layer of self-awareness to the whole grit equation. It's not just about blindly pushing forward, it's about being intentional.
Yes, and that intentionality, it also means asking for help when you need it.
Uh,
Because remember, you don't have to do this alone.
right. It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad, reminding you of your strengths, giving you that extra push when you stumble, and celebrating all those victories along the way. Because let's be real, achieving any goal worth achieving, it's rarely a straight shot to the finish line.
So true. There are going to be bumps in the road, moments of doubt, maybe even a few face plants along the way.
Oh, for sure. But it's how we navigate those challenges, how we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward. That's what defines our grit.
Absolutely. It's about embracing those setbacks, seeing them as opportunities to learn and grow.
And sometimes it's about recognizing that even the best laid plans, they might need a little tweaking along the way.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable, being willing to take in new information and adjust our course if we need to. Because, let's be honest, the path to success, it's rarely ever a straight line.
It's messy, it's unpredictable, full of detours you never saw coming.
That's the truth. But, that's also part of what makes the journey so exciting.
I love that. So we're not just talking about like white knuckling our way to the finish line, right? We're
Mhm.
talking about embracing the unknown, the unexpected.
Yes. It's about embracing the challenges and the triumphs, knowing that every experience, good or bad, it's all shaping us. It's all contributing to our growth.
And that brings us right back to this amazing concept of grit, this incredible blend of passion, perseverance, and adaptability.
It's about having the courage to go after what we want, the tenacity to overcome obstacles, and the wisdom to know when to switch gears.
Because at the end of the day, it's not just about checking those goals off our list. It's about the people we become along the way.
Beautifully said. And that transformation, that evolution, that's a testament to the power of grit.
It really is. And it's a pretty inspiring message. It's like Duckworth is saying, hey, you've got this. You have the power to create a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we have agency in our own lives.
We're not just sitting on the sidelines waiting for success to magically find us.
Nope. We can actively chase after our goals, we can embrace those challenges, and we can develop that resilience to overcome any setback that comes our way.
It really is. It's like we always talk about talent, as this rare and precious thing, which don't get me wrong, it is, but grit, it feels way more accessible, like something we can actually work on, cultivate within ourselves.
Exactly. And that's what makes Duckworth's research so powerful, so inspiring. It's like she's giving us permission to step up and take control.
Right. We're not just like passive bystanders hoping that success will stumble upon us.
We're not. We can chase our dreams head on, embrace challenges, and we can learn how to bounce back from those inevitable setbacks. It's all possible.
It's funny how we often try to avoid challenges in life, right? But it's like they're unavoidable.
100%. And you know what? They make us stronger.
They totally do. It's like that saying, smooth seas don't make skilled sailors.
Really love that.
So,
So true. Without a few waves, maybe a storm or two, you never learn how to really navigate.
exactly. You don't appreciate the calm until you've weathered the rough stuff. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into this whole world of grit, I want to leave our listeners with this. Think about your own life, your own experiences. There have been times, I guarantee it, when you've tapped into that well of grit inside of you. Times when you faced a challenge head on, you kept going even when it was hard, and you came out on the other side, like stronger.
It's true. We all have those stories, those moments when we dug deep and surprised even ourselves with how resilient we can be.
And the more we can tap into those experiences, the more we can build that grit muscle. We can use it to fuel our passions, achieve our goals.
Because here's the thing, grit, it's not something you're just like born with or not. It's a quality we can develop and nurture, strengthen.
We can train for this. It's like going to the gym, but for our minds.
Yes. It's about embracing the whole journey, even the messy parts, because the effort we put in, the challenges we overcome, those lessons we learn along the way, they're just as valuable as the end goal.
Beautifully said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
The deep dive, successfully navigated.
Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep cultivating that incredible grit within each of you.